160 of the world's biggest supervillains met last night. They had dinner at Windsor Castle on the 17th of September 2025. King Charles provided the venue. Donald Trump provided the public face. And tech oligarchs are providing the infrastructure for mass surveillance. Tim Cook was there from Apple. You know, the company that wants to scan your private pictures before they're encrypted. Satya Nadella was there, the CEO of Microsoft. Sam Altman was there, the guy who built OpenAI on all of our private Reddit threads. And Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, the guy who makes the chips that powers the data. Jane Fraser was there. She runs Citigroup. They sit at the core of the global money market. They weaponize anti-money laundering law to track every transaction you make and link it to your identity. Citibank is a choke point. If regulators want to expand surveillance, they actually don't need new policing powers. They instruct the banks, and the banks already sit on top of the pipework. Citibank has already turned financial compliance into a permanent financial surveillance system. Larry Fink was there. Larry Fink is the boss at BlackRock. They are the biggest money managers in the world. His job is not like a normal CEO making a product, running a company. His job is to control and direct the flow of other people's money, including your pension. BlackRock is stupidly huge. It manages $10 trillion in assets. Fink owns chunks in every large corporation on earth. Oil companies, tech companies, arms makers, landlords, you name it. He doesn't run those companies day to day. He votes to tell their CEOs how to run. This man is quietly shaping the corporate policy of the entire global market. He uses big words like responsibility and long-term capitalism, while he writes to CEOs about how they need to continue to grow. The words long-term capitalism and continue to grow? BlackRock's growth model depends on fossil fuels. If we keep expanding oil and gas and coal the way BlackRock keeps telling people to, we will push global heating past 3 degrees in less than 25 years. That's not an abstract number. That means lethal heat waves, drowned coastal cities, including the east coast of the United States, unlivable barren farmland, and collapsing fisheries in the next decade. Growth forever. If not stopped, this man and his weird growth tumor, he has a brain tumor, an ideology, sickness. Hundreds of millions of people are going to be displaced. But it's okay, because financial hubs keep trading. Growth forever means more data centers, more AI training, more surveillance, more server farms that require fresh water. Fresh water is a finite resource. Most of the Earth's water is not drinkable, and they don't like putting salt water on their tech, so they take it out of your mouth. While the climate falls apart around us, these guys met last night in their little room for their little dinner. Oh, very pompous, very posh. Seats of power. Please understand the future that these shareholders, robber barons, are trying to build will destroy everything else. The climate, the oceans, your freedom, dead. And that's not hyperbole. That's just what the science is saying about capitalism. They also brought Rupert Murdoch. It was news to me he's still alive. Apparently, the plan to sell 21st century mass surveillance to you sits with this 90-something-year-old media baron whose audience is literally dying off. Most people under 40 get their news from TikTok. Murdoch couldn't even buy influence if it came free with Sky Sports. If he's your idea of narrative control, you're finished. This is like the world's oldest Facebook uncle who shouts at the telly. Oh, and the head of MI6, Sir Richard Moore, was there. which you would expect in his role as senior national security advisor. But he's on the press release. You're supposed to be a spy. It's sending a message. This isn't a trade deal. This was not a business dinner. It reads like an army being marshaled. Not against an external enemy, though. Against their own people. Intelligence is a huge part of the surveillance package. Secrecy and back-channel power are being baked into trade and tech partnerships. In a healthy democracy, his face should not be here. He's supposed to be invisible, briefing his ministers, not posing for the press release on the guest list. MI6 should not be involved in trade optics. That says you work for robber barons, not British people. He should not be a dinner guest at all. He should have been there in an unseen function, making sure that the royalty were safe. Putting him out in front of the public is a political choice. It's an attempt to normalise surveillance. The party line is that discussions at last night's dinner were around a £31 billion AI investment. You'll see wording like trade partnership or UK innovation hub. The reality is those 160 attendants already control every choke point of your digital life. They don't need to invest in surveillance infrastructure. They are surveillance infrastructure. Microsoft holds all of the government's data in its cloud. Apple is building identity systems using biometric information. Amazon runs everybody's servers. Nvidia and their choke point on chips cut most of the world off from developing their software. It's not because they're so great and they're the only ones who can make good chips. It's because they leverage US government restrictions on who can buy these chips. These guys are not brilliant. They got rich hoarding patents. They use patents and supply control and tariffs to lock down the entire global market so that only they can get rich. And that people who want to invest feel that giving them their money is safest. Then they act like heroes, show up at Windsor dinners like pompous, self-made geniuses. The reality is that room last night was full of cartel managers for choke point technology, treating human progress like it's a subscription service. On the 17th of March 2025, enforcement of the UK Online Safety Act began. Very quickly after, on the 8th of April 2025, the US Data Security Programme took effect. On the 25th of July 2025, UK age verification became mandatory. Last year, 2024, the UK government passed through the Investigatory Powers Amendment Act. This forces all global tech companies to notify the UK government before implementing any security updates. The orders must be kept secret from that company's own government. Since last year, Britain can now veto security improvements globally. Since October 2024, the Five Eyes Secure Innovation Guidelines have been functioning like soft law for big tech. These guidelines are creating channels for agencies to shape the company's technical design. That is regulatory steering without elected scrutiny. The US Executive Order 14117, or the bulk data rule brought in this year, was sold to the public as creating concrete rules to restrict the bulk transfer of your data. But what they've actually done is create audit trails and gatekeeping obligations, the precursor to surveillance infrastructure. Maybe it wasn't 1984, maybe it was 2024, but you want to talk about Orwellian society? We're already there. And last night's dinner was Big Brother's launch party.